Back in its early years, Sony's marketing strategy for their alpha system cameras seemed to be to release as many as they possibly could all the time. And, well, that's a good way to keep on top of the headlines in tech magazines and websites. Things have been suspiciously quiet this year until now. I'm on my way into the middle of London right now to go check out their new enthusiast camera, which should be packed with all the features even professionals could probably want, the a7V. The old Sony a7IV is still a stupendous camera, but in the past 4 years, the industry's been really moving forward with strong mid-range offerings from Nikon, Panasonic and Canon recently, so expectations for the a7V are very high, and to be honest, it had better meet them. It looks and feels very familiar to anyone who's shot with one of Sony's higher-end cameras before. In fact, it feels just like the a7R5 to me, and I especially liked its bigger grip. But the big upgrades are under the hood here. The biggest news is this camera's new 33 megapixel sensor, which is now partially stacked, which means that much faster readout speeds are available, which is definitely on trend for new cameras today. Its readout speed of about 12 milliseconds is even faster than the Nikon Z6 Mark III and the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, and Sony tell me it's 4 times faster overall than the original a7IV. That means the camera is capable of a fabulous 30 frames per second of raw still shooting in electronic shutter mode and 10 frames per second in mechanical shutter mode. Admittedly, the Canon EOS R6 Mark III and the Panasonic S1 Mark II can go even faster, but realistically, even top sports shooters are more than happy shooting at 30. In fact, you can set the a7V to a slower burst rate than that, and then just boost it up to 30 frames per second whenever you need using one of the custom buttons. So that could be useful if you're shooting a wedding, for instance, and you only want the fastest burst rate for key moments in the ceremony. And the buffer is huge on this camera. At 10 frames per second it'll just go on and on shooting, and at 30 frames per second you'll get nearly 200 JPEGs or almost 100 raw images out of it. That faster sensor also means reduced rolling shutter when shooting sports or fast-moving subjects, or when shooting video. Here's an example of my a7Cr's camera's rolling shutter. And now the a7V, which looks very different, and that is a huge improvement over the older a7IV. The faster sensor is also great for sports photographers. It means blackout-free shooting as well as pre-capture recording times of up to 1 second, an absolutely vital feature for sports photographers. It captures images just before you press the shutter to help keep you from missing anything. And nature and wildlife and bird photographers find that useful too. The camera's new processor seems really efficient as well. The Bion's XR2 processor is another nice upgrade over the older a7IV, offering much faster processing speeds to actually complement the faster speed of that partially stacked sensor, and it can handle 60 autofocus and exposure calculations per second. It also offers much better battery time, so it's using less power. The camera can take at least about 600 shots on a single battery charge, which is one of the best performances in its class. The autofocus systems received a nice update as well. The subject recognition modes are fantastic, now including trains, planes, animals and insects. There's even an auto mode where the camera selects your subject for you using deep learning AI, and that's also used for better tracking of people's faces and detecting things like body and limb movements. But I found that autofocus system still surprisingly easy to use. I couldn't do my normal image quality tests with the camera yet, of course, but everything's looking great to me here in my sample pictures. Despite the new sensor's focus on speedy readouts, we still get great low-light image quality at high ISO levels, and the camera's showing good dynamic range as well, up to 16 stops of it, Sony are claiming. For the best results when shooting in low light though, shoot with the camera's mechanical rather than electronic shutter for a bit less image noise. When it comes to video, we're now getting 4K 60p footage in full frame instead of cropped on the a7IV, as well as 4K at 120 frames per second, but for that you will need to work with an aps-c crop. If you're shooting at 4K 60p, then there's a new extra option for you called Angle of View Priority. If you shoot with it on, you get the full frame image, but with reduced noise reduction, so your high ISO footage will look a little noisier. Turn it off and you get a slight crop, as you can see here, but noise reduction is higher for shooting in darker conditions. Interesting. Some people actually prefer noise reduction turned off in their video footage though, as it can be a little destructive as it's baked in, so it's really nice to see this as an option. I didn't encounter any camera overheating at all when shooting with it. In fact, Sony say you could shoot 4K footage at 60 frames per second in a room at 40 degrees Celsius for a full hour before encountering any overheating problems. Again, that could be because of the more efficient new processor. There are no options for open gate or 6K resolution video shooting or internal RAW recording modes. That's a tiny bit of a shame, but you got to remember that despite costing nearly $3,000, this is still meant to be a mid-range camera. Sony have got to save something for their top models, don't they? When it comes to the camera's body, an improvement I love is the tilting and flipping screen, which is my absolute favourite kind of design. You can flip it up and down for quick use while shooting stills, or tilt it out for video work and selfie pictures or other awkward situations. That's the perfect screen for a hybrid camera, and it's large and very high resolution as well. The viewfinder is fine, but not the brightest or highest resolution on the market, however you can get better than this. Other new features include an improved internal microphone for anyone using that in a pinch with reduced background noise. It also has 6 GHz Wi-Fi support and is able to live stream in 4K at 30 frames per second if you're into live streaming. We get 2 USB-C ports on the side, one faster than the other, and that's useful if you want to do some power delivery charging of the camera's big battery while simultaneously streaming or downloading, or attaching your camera to an electronic gimbal, so that's a nice little move from Sony, I think. Oh, and a full-size HDMI port on the side always goes down well, makes me happy anyway. The internal image stabilization is also improved over the a7V by a couple of stops. It now offers 7.5 stops of stabilization in the middle of your images and performed really well in all my tests. There have been some concerns floating around about this camera's compatibility with third-party lenses. Early reviewers do seem to have found some genuine problems out there. For what it's worth, I attached my old Samyang 24mm f2.8 lens to the camera and it worked absolutely perfectly, but nevertheless I'll keep an eye on that when I make my full review. Overall, the Sony a7V may be a bit of a perfect camera for hybrid enthusiast stills and video shooters. But when I think about it, there are probably very few professional shooters who won't find a lot of their needs being covered by what this thing has to offer at a lower price than Sony's top models, because there's been such a trickle down of fantastic features from their very best cameras making its way in here, not to mention excellent image quality, good dynamic range, and the faster partially stacked sensor, which is making a real difference. The price of $2,900 US is a bit of money in absolute terms, but I think that's about right for what's on offer here, because it's a very convincing proposition, and I can't wait to get my hands on one again to do a proper deep down review for you all.